There are mornings when you open your eyes and the first thing you feel is not peace, but distance. A quiet space where God used to feel close. You're awake, yet something inside you still feels asleep, heavy, unanswered. Your lips know the language of prayer. You've spoken these words before, you've believed them before, but today they feel fragile, like they might break if you say them too loudly. You're not angry with God. You're not running from Him. You just miss Him, and that absence hurts more than doubt ever could. David knew this feeling, not as a stranger to God, but as someone deeply loved by Him. A man who had walked with God closely still woke up one day and whispered through trembling faith, "How long, Lord?" Not because he stopped believing, but because believing while feeling nothing is one of the hardest trials of the soul. If you're here this morning feeling that same quiet ache, praying into silence, wondering why heaven feels so far when your heart needs God the most, don't rush away from this moment. This distance may not be punishment. It may be the beginning of something deeper, something honest, something that will only reveal itself if you stay. When God seems distant, the mind begins to speak louder than the heart. Thoughts rise quietly and repeat themselves over and over. Maybe I failed Him. Maybe I waited too long to pray. Maybe He finally grew tired of me. And the silence becomes a mirror where every insecurity shows its face. David stood in that same place, not as a man without faith, but as a man surrounded by unanswered days. He confessed that his greatest struggle was not his enemies, but the war inside his own thoughts. Sorrow cycling through his heart from morning to night. And this is where many give up. Not because they stopped believing in God, but because believing started to hurt. Yet David did not run from God with these thoughts. He brought them to Him, trembling, exposed, honest, because real faith does not hide confusion. It carries it into the presence of God and says, "This is all I have today." If your thoughts feel heavy this morning, if your mind feels crowded with questions you never planned to ask, stay here. This ache is not evidence of God's distance. It is evidence of your longing, and longing is a language heaven understands very well. David did not pretend strength when his soul was tired. He did not force confidence he did not feel. He admitted that the hardest battles were happening quietly, inside his own heart, wrestling with thoughts no one else could see, carrying sorrow that returned every morning like an unwelcome guest. This is the kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from doing too much, but from hoping for too long without answers. You go on with your day, you speak kindly, you fulfill responsibilities, yet inside there is a silent question echoing. How long will this feeling last? And God sees that place in you, the place where words feel too heavy to form, where prayer feels more like breathing than speaking. Distance does not scare God. Confusion does not push Him away. Honesty draws Him closer than polished words ever could. David teaches us that God can handle weary faith, tired trust, fragile hope. What God desires is not performance, but presence. Not perfect prayers, but real ones. If God feels far this morning, maybe this is not the moment to sound strong. Maybe this is the moment to be honest, to let the silence speak, to let your heart finally say what it has been holding back. Because even when you feel unheard, heaven is still listening. Something quiet begins to happen in Psalm 13. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, almost unnoticed. David does not receive an answer. The situation does not immediately change. The silence does not instantly break. Yet something within him begins to shift. Not because God explained himself, but because David remembered who God has always been. In the middle of unanswered cries, he reaches back and touches truth. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that steadies the soul. I trust in your unfailing love. Faith does not return like a flood. It returns like light at dawn, gentle, patient, enough for the next step. This is the treasure hidden in the waiting. God is not offended by your questions. He walks with you through them. He allows the journey from despair to trust, from how long do I still believe? And maybe this morning, if you stay, if you do not leave too soon, you will sense that same quiet movement inside your heart. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of hope. Not loud reassurance, but a calm remembering. God has not changed. Even when he felt far, this morning, God may not answer every question you carried into this moment. He may not explain the silence or remove the weight you've been holding for so long. But he is closer than the distance makes him seem. David did not wait to feel strong before he worshipped again. He chose trust while still standing in uncertainty. He chose to remember God's faithfulness while his heart was still healing, and that choice became the bridge between despair and song. Distance did not mean abandonment. Silence did not mean rejection. It meant God was still working in places David could not yet see. And maybe that is true for you right now. Maybe this quiet season is not a sign of loss, but preparation. Not a withdrawal, but a deepening. So stay here, breathe, let your heart rest for a moment, because the God who feels distant in this morning light has not taken a single step away from you. And the prayer that follows may be the moment your soul remembers. You were never alone, even in the silence. Let's pray. Lord, this morning feels quiet, but not peaceful. The silence presses against my chest as if something is missing, as if the warmth of your presence that once comforted me now feels distant. And I do not understand why. Like David crying, out in Psalm 13, I whisper from a place I rarely show anyone. How long, Lord? How long will it feel like you are far from me? How long will my prayers seem to rise into the air and fall back without an answer? I look around, and the world continues as if nothing has changed. The morning light enters my room. The air moves gently. Life goes on. But inside me there is a quiet ache, a hidden fear that maybe I am alone in this moment. Father, I still believe you are good. I still believe you are near. Yet my heart trembles because I cannot feel you the way I once did. And this distance hurts more than I know how to say. Come close to me now, because I cannot carry this silence without you, Father. There are moments when I try to be strong, when I tell myself that faith is not about feelings, that even when I cannot sense you, you are still here. But if I am honest, my heart feels tired. Tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of waking up with the same unanswered prayers resting on my pillow. Like David, I wrestle with the ache of wondering if you have forgotten me, if somehow I have drifted too far, if my voice has become too small to reach your ears. And these thoughts frighten me because I love you, and the idea of being distant from you feels like losing the air I breathe. Lord, search me gently, not with judgment, but with mercy. Show me that this silence is not rejection, that this stillness is not abandonment. Hold my fragile faith in your steady hands, because even when I cannot feel you, I need to know you are holding me closer than ever. Lord, the hardest part is not the waiting, it is the wondering. wondering if I did something wrong, wondering if I disappointed you, wondering if this distance is a sign that I have failed in ways I cannot see. My mind searches through memories, through mistakes, through words I wish I had not spoken, and my heart quietly accuses me, saying maybe this silence is what I deserve. But then I remember how David cried out in pain, how he felt forgotten and yet still chose to speak to you. And that gives me courage to speak now, even with trembling lips. Father, if there is anything in me that has built a wall between us, gently tear it down, not with anger, but with love. If this silence is part of my growth, help me trust. Help me believe that even when I cannot trace your hand, I can still trust your heart. Because without you, I am truly lost, and I cannot bear that thought. Father, when you seem distant, my heart begins to fear the future. I start imagining days without your guidance, decisions without your wisdom, battles without your strength, and the weight of that possibility feels unbearable. I realize how dependent I am on the comfort of your nearness, how deeply my soul needs the quiet assurance that you are walking beside me. Without that awareness, everything feels uncertain. Even the simplest tasks feel heavier. Even small worries grow louder. Lord, do not let my emotions define my reality. Remind me that your presence is not measured by what I feel, but by who you are. You were faithful to David, even when he cried out in confusion. You did not abandon him in his questioning, and I believe you will not abandon me. Even if my heart feels dry, even if my prayers feel weak, stay close, anchor me in truth, and let your unseen hand steady me through this fragile morning, Lord. There is a quiet loneliness that settles in when I cannot feel you. It is deeper than being alone in a room, deeper than silence in the night. It is the loneliness of a heart that longs for its creator and fears he has stepped away. I move through my day carrying this invisible weight, smiling when I must, speaking when I must. But inside, I am whispering, please come back. Please let me sense you again. Yet even as I say those words, something inside me knows that you never truly left, that the distance I feel is not the distance that exists. Father, teach my heart to rest in what is true, not in what feels overwhelming. Teach me to trust your faithfulness when emotions rise and fall like waves. Hold me steady when doubt tries to pull me under, and let this longing for you become a deeper love, not a deeper fear. Father, sometimes when you seem distant, I begin to question my own worth. I wonder if I am still precious to you, if I am still seen, if my name is still written on your heart. The silence makes old insecurities louder. It awakens fears I thought were healed. It whispers that maybe I am too broken, too inconsistent, too small to matter in your great plan. And that thought pierces deeply. Lord, remind me that your love is not fragile, that it does not fade when I struggle, that it does not withdraw when I am weak. When David felt forgotten, you were still watching over him, still guiding his steps even through the valley of doubt. Help me believe that you are doing the same for me right now, even if I cannot see it, even if I cannot feel it. Wrap my heart in the quiet assurance that I am still yours, completely, eternally, and that nothing, not even this silence, can separate me from your faithful love. Lord, in this moment of distance, I confess that I am afraid of losing the intimacy we once shared. I remember seasons when your presence felt so close, when prayer flowed easily, when worship felt natural, when I sensed your guidance in the smallest details. And now, the contrast hurts. It makes me question what changed and whether I will ever feel that closeness again. Father, do not let nostalgia turn into despair. Do not let comparison steal the quiet faith I still have. If this season is different, then teach me to find you here, in a deeper way, in a quieter way, in a way that is not built on emotion but on surrender. Help me understand that love matures, that trust deepens, that sometimes you lead me through silence so my roots will grow stronger. Hold me steady in this unfamiliar place and teach my heart to recognize your presence, even when it comes without feeling, without signs, without sound. Father, when you seem distant, I am tempted to withdraw, to pray less, to hope less, to protect my heart from disappointment. But deep inside, I know that running from you will only deepen the ache. So instead of stepping back, I lean in, even if my voice shakes, even if my words feel small, even if all I can say is help me. I choose to speak to you like David did, not hiding his pain, not pretending strength, but pouring out every fear and every doubt before you. Lord, receive my honesty. Do not turn away from my fragile faith. If my heart feels empty, fill it with quiet endurance. If my mind feels restless, anchor it in truth. Let this season teach me perseverance. Let it shape a faith that does not collapse when emotions fade, and remind me that seeking you in the silence is still seeking. And you promise that those who seek will find, even here, even now. Lord, even in this silence, I choose to remember. I remember how you carried me through other dark mornings, how you answered prayers I thought would remain unanswered, how you restored joy when I believed it was gone forever. My memory becomes my anchor, because if you were faithful then, you are faithful now. David ended his cry not in despair, but in trust. He chose to sing even before the answer arrived. And I want that kind of faith. A faith that declares your goodness while the heart is still healing. Father, help me shift my focus from what I cannot feel to who you have always been. You have been patient, merciful, steady. You have never abandoned me, not once. Even when I doubted, even when I wandered. So today, though my emotions are uncertain, I place my trust in your unchanging love, and I hold on to the quiet hope that this silence will soon give way to renewed joy. Father, as this morning unfolds, I place this feeling of distance into your hands. I do not want to carry it alone anymore. If you seem far, draw my heart closer. If the silence feels heavy, teach me to hear you in the stillness. I surrender my need to control what I cannot understand. I surrender the fear that whispers you have left, and I choose to believe that even now, you are nearer than my breath, nearer than my thoughts, nearer than the quiet ache inside my chest. Just as David moved from questioning to trust, lead me gently into that same resting place, where faith stands even when feelings tremble, where love remains even when emotions fade. Stay with me through this day. Guide my steps, calm my mind, and let this season of silence become a testimony of deeper trust. Because even when you seem distant, you are still my God, and I am still yours, forever. May the Lord's grace and peace accompany you today. Thank you for joining us in this moment of prayer.